What's up, player? Yeah. Well, living that talking head. Coming to you live with Daigo with VRified Games. How we doing, Daigo?
Hey Ed, how's it going?
Yeah, mine. So, what's this? What's going on over here now?
Well Ed, today we're taking a look at World War II's Tank Arena.
Oh, World War II, something. Oh, okay.
Yeah! So, big thank you to the devs. They've given us a key and asked us if we take a look at this game for them and, give a little bit of feedback, what have you. So we said, yeah, sure, okay, why not? So here we are. So thank you very much to the devs. Let's get into it. Alright, so World War II's Tank Arena. This is actually not the first game to be called World War II's. There was an earlier game which was developed by a team consisting of former Call of Duty developers and former Disney artists. Now, it's exactly what you would imagine when you think Call of Duty devs and Disney artists get together. World War II's was exactly that. It was multiplayer only, but if you had played Call of Duty or even Battlefield multiplayer at all in your life, you know what to expect in terms of gameplay. And artistically, yep. When you think Disney cartoon artists, that's exactly what you got. So this was a cartoonish world based loosely, I would say, around World War II. They don't really go into faction names, countries, anything like that. No. But basically you imagine the gameplay of a Call of Duty World War kind of game with a cartoon aesthetic. That's what World War II's was. Now I say was, it's impossible to play this game now. Although this game released on PSVR, Steam VR, Oculus way back in the day, the servers are down. So you cannot play this game anymore, sadly. It was a hell of a lot of fun. But that brings us up to present day with World War II's Tank Arena. Now again, it's what you would imagine. It is the multiplayer game. It has that cartoony aesthetic. However, this is more based on the kind of World of Tanks kind of gameplay. So whereas the previous game was like a multiplayer war simulator shooter, this is a tank simulator. Now what's really cool about it is it uses your motion controls as though they were a HOTAS. So think of your controllers as though they were giant control sticks, basically. You can move them both in 3DOF, and your left hand will control forward, back and strafing along the X and Y axis, and your right hand will control rotation left to right using the X axis of your controller. Now to point your gun up and down, you have to use the control stick. So this is a little counterintuitive. You kind of want to just tilt the controller up and down, but I guess the devs already tried that and figured it didn't really work, so they elected to use the control stick up and down instead. Now it's not a deal breaker, but it has a learning curve. Intuitively your body wants to tilt that controller, but after some time you get used to the idea that you're using the stick to move up and down, and then to tilt the controller to rotate. You will get used to it. So now, one thing I noticed during this tutorial mission here is, at one point I go to try and pick up the ammunition and place it in the canister, but for some reason I could not pick it up. I don't know if that's a bug, if it's a one-time thing with me, God knows, but that's what happened here in this playthrough and you will see it. So for the devs, just to let you know, I did encounter that. The tutorial is great, it's fine. You get to understand the controls of movement and you get to understand the controls of firing your weapon. That's all well and good. But when you go into the game proper, there's an issue where the tutorial didn't go over the mechanics of healing. So in the game, you can repair damage using your hammer, which is on your left hand side. You just bash away until your damage is gone. And if a fire breaks out, there's a fire extinguisher on your right hand side, which you use to put out the flames. Now this wasn't mentioned anywhere in the tutorial, so during gameplay I had no idea that this happened, and I died early on 2 or 3 times before I realized, oh my god, this hammer and this fire extinguisher, they're not just window dressing, they do something, So it would be good to probably have those integrated into the tutorial somehow. But again, none of that is a deal breaker. It's all part of the learning curve, and once you get over it, you're fine. So after my first few rounds, I was flying around, I was shooting enemies, I was Lord of the Tanks. Now, the controls are clunky, they're not very intuitive. That being said, after maybe 5-10 minutes, you're fine. It's just, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but once you're over that learning curve, yeah, you're flying. You'll be taking out tanks like nobody's business. So how does it play? Well, yeah, imagine it's World of Tanks, and you got a HOTAS, and that is essentially what's going on here. You play seated, you reach out in front of you with your motion controls, and you grab the stick to move, you grab the gun to rotate. If there's damage, you reach out, you grab your hammer, and you bash it away, or you grab your fire extinguisher and you put out the fire. Those are the controls, and occasionally your special ability will pop up. So a lever will pop down on your right hand side, you just pull on it and that activates your special ability. Yeah. So the gameplay itself, very, very simple. As I say, there's a bit of a learning curve, but the gameplay itself is very, very simple, very easy to get into, and just like World of Tanks, it's a lot of fun. It's a very, very good VR Tanks arcadey kind of simulator. Now, in terms of a single player story campaign, that kind of thing, non-existent. This is just multiplayer only. So you can play with bots, like I did, because I'm a wuss and I just wanted to learn the game. Or, you know, it's probably a hell of a lot of fun if you hook up with a bunch of friends and go to town with this thing. I could see this being a really cool party game. So yeah, that is World War Toons Tank Arena. As the old commercial says, it does exactly what it says in the tin. So I guess we're going to leave it there, you guys. Like, comment and subscribe. If you've any thoughts, queries, any critiques, put them down below. If indeed there are any games you'd like us to look at VRifying in the future, put those down below and we will presumably get back to you eventually. You can also follow us on TikTok for our adventures over there, which are basically condensed versions of what we do over here. And yeah, follow us on all social medias. All links will be in the descriptions. Yeah, looking forward to seeing you there also. Alright, VRified Games out.